Hello, everyone. Hey, good evening, and welcome to The Front. This is a live leadership lesson. We're going to be talking tonight with my friend Terry Lancaster. And first off, I want to remind you, if you are interested in free leadership tips, some motivational content, and sales tips, check out leadtheteam.net. Also, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at leadtheteam.tv, and make sure, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, click that little bell notification icon so you get notified when I go live or when I am sharing new episodes, because I would love to have you join in and participate. So today we're just about to get started with my friend Terry Lancaster right after this.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, and we're live, and right there is my friend Terry. Terry, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic, Mikey. How you doing, brother? How you living?
I am doing great. I appreciate you so much joining me for this episode. And one thing I forgot to say at the beginning, and I always forget, so I want to remind the viewers right now, do me a favor, because Terry has got such a wealth of knowledge, and he's just absolutely phenomenal human being. Make sure wherever it is, if it's over there for you or if it's over there for you, click the share button. Make sure you share it on your social media, share it in your groups, and let's get the word out, because we're going to be sharing this live leadership lesson right now. So Terry, do me a favor, and if you would give kind of the viewers and the people that are watching right now, just give a little bit of a history of who is Terry Lancaster. What's your business background, where you're from, and what do you do now also?
Well, I'm an author, speaker, and a trainer now, and I work with car dealerships and their salespeople, helping them get more reviews, more referrals, and more repeat business. How I got here is a long and twisty road. I was a disc jockey, a top 40 disc jockey in college, prime time Kelly Michaels. So I'm used to speaking on the radio, and if we had some Bon Jovi tunes, I could spin that here. But I started off as a disc jockey, and I found out disc jockeys made absolutely no money. So when I graduated from college, I started selling radio advertising, and all of my best customers, without fail, were car dealerships. So I decided I was going into the car dealership advertising business, and I got really good at helping car dealerships attract traffic and move the metal. I was at one point I was working for the most powerful station in the nation, FM 100 in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was their automotive specialist. And just about 30 years ago, I started an advertising agency with my partner, doing nothing but automotive advertising. So for the last 30 years, I've been working with car dealerships through all the transitions that the car business has gone through over the last 30 years. You know, when we started, 80% of our business was laying out newspaper ads for car dealerships, and we do the big loud radio spots, and we do TV spots, and we've transitioned to that. And I've watched the way the business has changed, and the last 10 years has just been this upheaval, and the business has turned tipsy-turvy, completely upside down. And what I'm really concentrating on now, I still do all the other stuff, but what I found is, 30 years ago, the GM didn't care what you said in your radio ads. As long as you sold your cars, they didn't care what you did.
They do now.
Yeah, they certainly do now, and they want every dealership to sound the same. They want every dealership to look the same. You got to have the same words in all the ads, and the only way most dealerships are able to differentiate themselves now are their actual salespeople, the people with the boots on the ground. So I'm working mostly with salespeople now, people who kill what they eat, to help them attract their own business, to create their own weather, instead of relying on GM, instead of relying on the dealership who is so constricted that they can go out there and start building more relationships, making more friends, and selling more cars.
That's awesome. So you went from radio to rockin' ads. So let me ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Were you an on-air personality, or did you always just do sales and radio?
No, I was on air. I started off on air. I was primetime Kelly Michaels, working from 6 to midnight, spinning Bon Jovi and Janet Jackson records.
So what was your intro when you came on at 6? Could you give us the intro when you came on?
Oh, I don't remember the intro, but I was, like I said, I made up this name, Primetime Kelly Michaels, and I was always my favorite thing was the current temperature is 79 degrees on the way down to an overnight low of 74. It's beautiful in Crossville, Tennessee. I didn't have an exact, but I came up with prime time because 6 to midnight is the worst shift you could have at a radio station, but it's the best shift you could have at a TV station. So I just stole the moniker. I made 6 to midnight prime time instead of the dregs of the radio business.
That's awesome, man. As you know, I did a little bit of radio as well.
I
So,
do.
so obviously you've been doing advertising. You said 30 years, roughly 30
There,
years.
yeah, but a little over 30 years. I realized I wrote my first automotive radio spot for the 1985 Pontiac Fiero, America's premier mid-engine sports car. Now
Oh my!
that was in 1985. That's how long I've been writing radio commercials for car dealerships.
Those were a cool car until I remember I was looking at one of those. We're getting way off track, but I remember looking at one of those in the '90s to buy, and
Yeah,
it was almost my first car, except the where the engine was, it overheated and
yeah.
it used to melt stuff inside of there, like all the plastic connectors and stuff.
Yeah, and
So
since the car was made out of plastic, melting was not a good thing.
yeah, no, not at all. So, if there was one thing right now, as you sit in business, if there was one or two things that you would say you're known for, what would you say those things? I mean, obviously advertising, but if we're talking like character traits, that and someone says, "Man, that is so Terry Lancaster," what would you say those one or two things are, man?
Well, I think everyone is really impressed that I'm kind of the same guy. I'm fairly authentic, and you don't get a lot of yeah. I'm not a super braggy guy, and I'm not a big shot guy. I don't try to play the big shot very much. But if you see me on my podcast, to Get You Some Radio Show, or you see me on one of these, or you bump into me at Kroger, you're pretty much going to get the same deal. And I think people are like that. That, oh, he's the same guy pretty much all the time.
Right. No, and I think that's something, I think that's so critical right now in any business, not just in the auto industry, but in any business. So if there was something you want to
Yeah.
be remembered for, would you say those coincide, what, like your legacy? And I know I'm getting to these kind of in the middle here, but if there was something you wanted to be remembered for, Terry, what would you
Yeah.
say that is?
Well, the main thing I think in Terry's life that I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered for raising three daughters who are wonderful things. I want, that's my legacy. That's why I was put on this earth to raise that family, and so that's everything to me. To me, they turn out okay. They on top of that is gravy. I kind of went through this change, about 4 or 5 years ago, and that's when I wrote the book. It's called Better Self-Help for the Rest of Us, and I wrote the book about some changes that I had in my life, and I started exercising, I quit drinking, I just generally kind of turned my ship a bit, and that's when I was in training and writing all the stuff. Now, what really I and people started reviews on Amazon and send emails telling me, oh, you changed you got me to get up off the couch and go to guys. Oh, you convinced to start eating more often, and it never really occurred to me that I have the power to affect people's lives. I'm Terry Lancaster, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm just Joe Blow, and I never thought about how I could be for other people. I had a taste being helpful to other problems and dilemmas in their life. I mean, that's addictive than crack. You start helping people and see how much it helps and how much they appreciate that and how it benefits and changes their life. I mean, you want to do more of that. So that's what I get up is to figure out, all right, who can I help today? I help them their life better. My when I go to sleep, and my mantra is I'm here for health and prosperity for myself and for people that I connect with and people on the other side of the world who don't know me from Adam. If I remember for anything, it's the long way around is I want to create health, happiness, and prosperity for myself, for my family, and for everyone I know and everyone I don't.
That's awesome. No, absolutely. I think that the health, happiness, and prosperity, I take notes. So there's a lot of times I'll come back on camera and I'm not necessarily sitting right there because I'm sitting taking notes based on what you're saying and what the guests are saying and so forth. So I think that is really awesome. So getting into what we're talking about tonight in leadership, and I think you are somebody that I look to as a leader, certainly on online, social media, a lot of different areas. You and I have been connected for a number of years. Plus, I think you have the unique position that you are working with a lot of different businesses, a lot of different automotive dealerships. You're engaged with a bunch of different people at a high level, executive level management and inside organizations. So what are, from the mind of Terry Lancaster, what are three key characteristics that you would say define someone that is really a good leader, someone in a leadership role? Three key characteristics,
Well,
Terry.
three, I think number one is probably empathy. I mean, you have to be empathetic for your customers and for your salespeople, for your employees. I think somewhere along the it's empathy, niceness, and strength. If I got to pick three, but the problem is that so many people, somewhere along the way, people got the idea that to be a great business person, you kind of had to be a jerkwad. You kind of, you had to be rough and tumble and yell at people and, kick them in the arse and just, and yell and scream and throw stuff to get anything done. And I tell you, I mean, I found that to be absolutely not the case, that the best businesses are run by the nicest people. And if you want to be a better salesperson, if you want to be a better manager, the place to start is with yourself becoming a person. And the way you treat your employees, exactly the way your employees are going to treat your customers. And it's just about being empathetic, being nice, and being strong enough, having the emotional strength, the emotional fortitude to keep your emotions in check. Do what's best for them on the other side of the table than what's necessarily best for you on your side of the table, or what the little guy in your head is telling you got to do right now. I interviewed Ali Rita a couple weeks ago for the Get You Some radio show. Ali's the number one selling salesperson in the whole world, and he said the smartest thing I've ever heard a human being say in my life, that there's no one in the world, anywhere in the world, more important than the person sitting across the desk from you. It's about being present and in the moment and doing what's best for the person sitting across from you, instead of neglecting them and looking past them for your wants and needs.
No, those are really strong points. I think those are really good points. I've had, as I've had several people now for several weeks on the show, I do get a lot of people that, as you and I are talking here, I have a lot of people that'll say, well, yeah, you have to love your people. You have to be empathetic with them. You have to be able to understand where they are, where they're coming from, and so forth. You're the first person I've had just come out and say something so simple as niceness.
Yeah, just nice.
Yeah, just being nice. And
yeah.
The irony is that's not something I don't think that we can train for. We all can gauge. Niceness is very subjective, right? If someone's being nice or not. But when you're talking about niceness, are you talking about just being warm and fuzzy and fluffy with your people, or what's? Expand on that some. And then also, you're the first person I've had that has said strength, because I think people, and I'm going to expand on this for a second, and so I just want you to kind of dive into them a little bit more. The first person that I've had that said strength, and I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because I think you do have to be a really strong person. But I do find it interesting that the minute you say, well, as a leader, someone has to be strong, they think that it's ruling with that iron fist. Like you said, it's, well, you got to put a boot in somebody. So when you're saying niceness, how do you gauge it? How do you train somebody for that? How do you equip somebody so that they can continue to be nice? Because I know, like, when I get stressed out, I get way less nice.
It's exactly eliminate the stress, and I'm exactly that, because I think strength and the same place. Strength isn't yelling and screaming and staplers across the desk and threatening to fire people. That's the easy way out. The way your emotions are guiding you. That's just animal. That's just animal. I forgot the lizard brain. And you have to scream. So strength is being able to step back from that, to see the big picture, to see what's happening to the person across the desk from you, to see what their wants and needs and where they want to go. Now, some you have to connect, to connect with them, to push them where they want to go, and maybe they don't want to get there, and they need a little stronger push. But you can still be nice, and I think niceness can be trained. Because I think you can train your brain exactly the same way you can train your biceps. That exactly, you can go to the gym and do squats. You can pump iron all day long. You can go run. You can ride your bicycle. But most people don't think about training their brain. But I swear this is true. If you will learn to sit down for 10 minutes a day and just breathe, if you'll learn how to meditate, to control the little thoughts that pop up in your brain, and realize that just a thought popped into my head doesn't mean I have to scream it to the universe. That it's just a thought. And if I let it bubble up in my head, it'll disappear, and then I can get back to doing what needs to be done. But truth strength is letting that thought bubble up if it's not the thing that needs to be said at the time. And you just have to learn to breathe and be calm in that moment right now. It's about being present in this moment instead of being present in whatever chaos is going on inside your head.
Man, I think those are, this is part of the reason I literally every week I sit here and I take notes on stuff, and I learn as much as I hope that the value that I know you're bringing to my audience and that you bring all the time to your audience. So I think it's interesting that you're saying you can train niceness, because and I agree. I do agree. You just wire yourself for positivity, but it is, and I'm sorry to be stuck on that. It's just one of those things that's so neat. Like, I think it's such a good and simple and just holistic comment. And it's like, we don't train it. We don't talk about it in business. That's something we don't, we globally as business leaders, we don't talk about that. So I think, man, that is just awesome. So,
well, I think that's changing. There was I read a book last year while I was on vacation. The book's called Search Inside Yourself, and it's by a guy who was like the vice president of niceness at Google. I forget exactly what his title was, but he wrote this book, and it's all about emotional intelligence. And he was the person in charge of helping people be nice at Google. So on a grand scale, people are starting to recognize that being nice isn't just puppies and unicorns and rabbit fur. It's good business. And it's good business because it's, your people are all you have. And at the end of the day, your only business is creating customers. And the only way you can create customers is by building relationships. And the only way you can build relationships is by having better people to build those relationships with. So niceness is good business, and it's worth training yourself to be.
I'm going to put that on a placard for you. Niceness is good business, Terry Lancaster.
There you go.
Hey, so I'm going to flip these around a little bit, because I know that one of the things we often talk about in leadership management business is passion, right? People being passionate about what they're doing. And you can tell that certainly, Terry, you are passionate about what it is that you do in business and in advertising and such. How would, and you've heard it said, find your passion and you'll be unstoppable, you'll be successful, you'll be able to win. What advice would you give to somebody that is trying to find that? Because I think you've found it. What advice would you give to someone that is really trying hard? They're coming up in business and they're trying to find their passion.
Quit looking for it. And find their passion because they think it's something down the road and outside themselves. So my advice is to quit looking for happiness and quit looking for passion and quit looking for this great monument on the hill that's outside yourself, and start looking inside yourself. Search inside yourself. Start looking at this present moment and find your happiness and your passion in what you're doing right now, and try to bring more to that. And as you start connecting more with that and connecting with the people in front of you, that'll guide your train. But if it's like, I tell everyone, it's like meditation board, vision boards. Everyone wants to use the vision boards, and they want to build this big board in their office where they're putting yachts on and mansions and the Ferraris and everything that they want to drive. And they're spending all their time thinking about what they don't have. Well, if you spend all your time thinking about what you don't have, you're naturally going to you're going to be miserable because the stuff that you're thinking about all day doesn't exist in your real life. What's going on inside your head is not matching up what's happening outside your eyeballs. So quit thinking about what you don't have and start thinking about what you do have. Start being grateful for the job that you have. Start being grateful for the employees that you have. Start being grateful for the opportunities that you have every day. And the more gratitude you have for what you already have, the more of it you'll get. And as you start going down that road of being grateful, then more opportunities will show up. If you can apply your passion to that, it'll naturally lead you to where you're supposed to be.
Gratitude is a big thing, man. That is, I think that's really fantastic also, Terry.
It's everything.
It's absolutely everything. So the last question I have for you tonight is going to be, and I've heard that, I ask this on every show. It says, okay, so if you could go back and tell your teenage self, you could give yourself this one piece of advice, what would that one thing be so that you could be successful, or that, you know, that one piece of advice, or don't pass on this, or whatever, you know, each of those may be. So let me ask you, because you can't go back in time and tell your teenage self anything, but you can tell the people that want to be in a leadership or management role that are watching this show, you can give them really good advice from today moving forward. So let me ask you, if you were going to give someone else advice that, because, you know, like if it was you and I in our teenage years, we'd say, okay, well, hey, we go invest in Google, right?
Yeah.
But someone else coming up in the business for management or leadership, what one or two pieces of advice would you give them and say, listen, young man or young woman, you need to, or even if it's somebody that's older that's really doing well in business, what should they be doing right now to see the next level of success?
Well, if I could go back to my, 14, 15, 18, 19 years old, one of the advice I would give myself is to quit drinking. Quit drinking years ago, and that's been a dramatic change in my life. But I've looked at that, and that's become a part of a bigger picture. And my overarching general advice to anyone is that it ain't about you. And so when I was 19 years, I drank too much, and I drank too much for a long time because everything was about me to be happy. And I thought drinking would make me happy, and chasing money would make me happy, and stuff, because I thought I wanted things for me. I wanted the nicer house, and I wanted the nicer car, and I wanted things. I liked stuff, and that led me about the people around you. And we all hear this advice that you are the average product of the 5 people you surround yourself. So you need to pick your friends better. Well, I tell people exactly the opposite of that, that your 5 best friends, the 5 people you're around the most, they're a reflection in part too. And you're doing them a disservice by being less than you can be. By taking the short road and looking out for yourself, you're and the more you can what you want out of the picture and start seeing to help other people, how you can help your employees, you can help your customers, everything will come back to you based on that. As Zig Ziglar said it, the more you can help others, you'll get what you want. You can get anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. So start thinking about how you can be helpful and let everything else take care of itself.
That's perfect. That's a perfect way to take us out, man. Hey, do me a quick favor for anybody watching. If they are, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? And then also, at the end of October, you're speaking at Rockstar Auto Conference, so you got to make sure to bring that up because we talked about that. So, so how can people get in touch with you, and what else you got coming?
Yeah, go visit Matt Koenig at rockstarautoconference.com. That's coming up October 14th, 15th in Las Vegas. I'm going to be speaking there. And the subject of my keynote there is, if you want to be a better salesperson, you have to start by being a better person. Exactly what we've talked about here today. So I'm going to be doing that. And if you want to find out about me, I'm the easiest person to Google in the world. Google knows everything about me. So you can Google me, you can connect with me on Facebook, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, you can connect with me on Twitter. My webpage that I send everyone to is terrylancaster.org. If there's anything I can do to help you on your path, let me know. And if I can help, I'll try.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Terry. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with myself, and certainly I've got a full page worth of notes from you, my man, and for the viewers also. Again, if you've gained something out of this session, this live leadership lesson with Terry and myself, please give it a thumbs up, throw some hearts on there, share the video on your social media. So, Terry, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I think Terry locked up there for a sec. Oh, there's the thumbs up. We got it. So I'm going to take us out.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. So, hey, if you, as a reminder, for anybody that's out there watching, please tune in every Wednesday night at 5:05 Mountain Time, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. And for more live leadership lessons, I've got a new guest every week. Also, I'm posting podcast episodes of The Front each Sunday, and I would love to have you join me for those. Make sure that you can check out Terry Lancaster, as he said on his website. Google him. If you are in the automotive industry, I will tell you, you got to go to the Rockstar Automotive Conference. It is a collection of rock stars for rock stars. It's awesome. There's the plug for Matt. And with Terry speaking there, it's going to be phenomenal. So for everybody who's tuned in and joined us today for this live leadership lesson, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon. And until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.